Hey guys, May Flom here, and I've got some white acrylic paint that I have just put on this tag, and I'm just spreading it around. You could use white acrylic paint or gesso. I'm working on manila cardstock because I find that manila cardstock is a really nice, slick, but sturdy paper that works really well with mixed media techniques. I'm working on a tag. You could work on any size or shape of paper you want. Don't get hung up on what's the project being made when you're watching mixed media technique videos. Focus on what's the technique. You can apply it to anything. So I've got a stamp here, and what I'm going to do, the paint's still pretty wet, but it might work. We're going to see. I'm going to try to kind of eliminate most of the paint that's in the middle where I intend to stamp, and that should help. I've got archival ink so that it will not react when I use other mediums on top of it. And I am going to stamp right onto my tag. Now it didn't get, a little paint got on here. I'm going to need to wash that off. It didn't get a super dark image, but I'm okay with that for what I'm doing here. Now I am going to add a couple more little scrapes there. I'm going to get a paper towel here and just kind of, just for texture. This is not for anything but texture. Add a little texture here and there. And then I'm going to start taking some dilutions. Notice that we're not letting anything dry. We're not waiting around. We're just playing here. I'm going to take some dilutions mists. Now these are some of the new colors. This one is, I already got paint on it. Something laid back lilac. That's a pretty name. And this one is periwinkle blue. We're going to just start making little, I'm doing it this way versus using the sprayer because I want to have a lot more control. Another option, if you have a piece of plastic, for example, you can, I like to do it this way. You could take it off and spray it onto there, but you could put your color onto some plastic and then take something, anything, could be a paintbrush, it could be a tool like I'm using here, and you could scrape it up and put it onto your tag. There's not rules exactly. You're just having some fun with it. You can also, and this is another favorite of mine, take off the top and flick the color onto there. It's really depending on what do you want to do, what do you want to see here. It's going to absorb into the paint. The paint is going to let us do a lot more just because onto plain paper, the color absorbs faster into it, but also, you know, you can't get as good of blending as you can when it's on a more slick surface, such as a painted surface. I'm going to add a good amount of water here because, as you can see, that's going to start getting colors swirling around. And then I'm just going to keep repeating this process. Okay, and you know, what's the technique here? What's the point? The point is we're having fun with color. The point is experimenting with different looks. And if you go really heavy with this, you can get kind of like the galaxy look or just a real fun watercolor look. You can get, you can do or get whatever look it is that you want here with this. Me, I'm going for some really nice rich color. And then once I'm happy, now you're not going to control everything here. Notice that. Notice that I don't have a lot of control. The color's kind of going where it wants to go. I like that. I'm going to let it really do its thing. And then once I feel like, okay, you know, that's enough color, we're good here, I will stop and let it fully dry before we do anything else, because we need those colors to really, you know, set themselves. We need to set themselves. We need to let them do their thing. I'm going to get, let's see, this is Peony Blush. That's a pretty color name. Couple drops of that. And I'm mostly doing the purple and the blue and then just adding a little bit of the other colors. If you don't have dilutions, could you do this with watercolors? Could you do this with distress spray stains? Could you do this with a lot of other colors? The answer is absolutely and yes. It'll just look, results may vary, but that's how it always is. Let that totally dry. Now, once it's totally dry, and you can use a heat tool to speed things up. Once it's totally dry, take a look at it, and if you want some more color, you can add color, such as here I've got the blue. If I want to add even more anything, this would be the time to do it, but I advise letting it dry all the way first, only because you don't want to create mud. I got pretty close to having too much color on there at once. If you do too much color without letting it dry, what can happen is it can overwhelm the paper, it can overwhelm the project, and just kind of turn muddy. So to avoid that, you want to let it dry so that it can set, and so that you don't just have too much fluid color running at one time. But once you are happy with the colors and you're thinking, you know what, I really love this, you can go forth and do whatever you like. You can re-stamp it if you want, or you can just use a black pen. I have a micron pen, which is, it won't react. And what I'm going to do instead of re-stamping is I'm just going to do kind of a sketchy take on this. Okay, so instead of re-stamping, I'm just kind of looking, oops, here she is, just kind of looking at the stamp and adding some sketchy lines back in here. You will want it to be totally dry or your pen won't work unless you have a special pen that will work for that. And I like to do that just because I think it's fun. But again, you could re-stamp. And so if I wanted to re-stamp, I've got my stamp here, my archival ink. Could you do this and, you know, could I have waited for everything to dry and then, oh, you know, done something like, instead of doing, and I'm doing it like this because I just want to see if I can get some of the spots to touch down, and I did. Ooh, I really like that now. That's great. So, could I have done it differently? Could I have done embossing? Could I have let the paint dry before I stamped? Yes to everything. The thing that I really want to encourage you with mixed media type techniques and play, though, is just that. Play with it. Play around, see what you like, see what works for you, see what you don't like. Let yourself kind of cut loose on it and see what is really like fun to you, and don't let yourself get held back by, oh well, you know, I shouldn't, or I don't know if this will work or not. Give it a try, see what works, see what you like, and once you're done, if you want, you know, you can add some stickers, you can add some little doodads, turn it into a tag, turn it into a card. I like to work on manila tags because I feel like they're very, for me at least, they feel very low risk, and I feel very free to just play and explore ideas. If you want to work on a different surface, you absolutely can. Working in an art journal is another really great way to test ideas without a lot of pressure. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more over on my YouTube channel as well as my blog. I'll see you next time.